Hello, welcome to Storytelling the Heroine's Journey. I'm Kate Farrell, your host and guide as we explore the hidden terrain of the heroine's unique quest and how it can empower your life. As a lifelong storyteller, I discovered that the foundational folk and fairy tales and myths had survived by word of mouth for millennia, mostly from matriarchal cultures. In the first 3 episodes, we met the major archetypal characters in the feminine quest stories. And we encountered the deadly competition for feminine beauty. Our heroine was trapped in a destructive environment that diminished her status and limited her freedom. With no other option, our heroine escaped or was pushed into the wilds. In this episode, we follow the heroine on her journey into the treacherous forest. She faces risk and possible death. How will she survive? She must accomplish heroic tasks, do or die. As you listen to this excerpt from the ancient Slavic tale, Baba Yaga and Vasilisa the Brave, you might be surprised at the challenges that Vasilisa is given. What do they represent? And how does our heroine succeed in completing these impossible tasks? Folktale. Baba Yaga and Vasilisa the Brave. This tale continues from episode 2. The stepsisters have pushed Vasilisa out of the hut on a stormy night when their hearth fire and all other lights went out. Vasilisa stood alone in the wild wind, crying. "Oh, my dear little doll," Vasilisa said between sobs. "They have sent me into the forest to get a light from Baba Yaga. I am so afraid." "Do not worry," said the doll. "Nothing bad can happen to you while I am with you." With trembling legs, holding the doll close, Vasilisa walked through the forest that seemed like a dark wall in front of her. All through the night she walked, and through the entire day, until when evening was about to fall, she came out into a small glade, and there she saw a hut. And around the hut, there was a fence made of human bones, crowned with human skulls. And the gate was no gate, but made of human legs. And the bolt was no bolt, but made of human arms. And the lock was no lock, but made of teeth. Vasilisa was horrified. Night descended, and in the darkness, the human skulls that crowned the fence began to glow through their eyes with a fiery light until it was as bright as day. Vasilisa went up to Baba Yaga on the porch and bowed low and humbly said, "Grandma, I am Vasilisa. My stepsister sent me to get fire and light from you." "Oh, is it you?" said Baba Yaga. "Well, come in. May as well stay. And there is much work to do, and then we shall see what shall be seen." And Vasilisa came inside. Do you see that sack over there? It is full of millet. I want you to pick through it seed by seed and take out all the black bits. And you must do it by morning, or I will eat you. Baba Yaga went to the bench and fell asleep. And when she began to snore, Vasilisa took a piece of bread and gave it to her doll and said, "Take this, my dear, and let me pour my troubles in your ear. Baba Yaga has given me a hard task to do, or she will eat me. Do not grieve, do not weep. Close your eyes and go to sleep. Morning is wiser than evening." And when Vasilisa was asleep, the little doll called out in a ringing voice, "Tomtit, pigeons, sparrows, it is on you, my feathered friends, that Vasilisa's life depends." And the birds came, flocks of them, more than the eye could see or tongue could tell. And they began to pick through all the millet seed by seed, and the black bits went in the bin, and the good millet went in the sack. And by morning, the sack was full to the top. "Have you done the work I asked?" Baba Yaga asked. "Yes, Grandma, it is done." "Huh!" Baba Yaga snorted. She was angry. But what could she say? "Well, I'm going out hunting. And while I'm gone, do you see that sack over there? It is full of peas and poppy seeds. And I want you to separate them in their own heap. And you must do it before I return, or I will eat you." "Oh, doll, little doll, you must help me now." And the doll cried out in a loud voice, "Oh, mice of the house and barn and field, come, there is work to be done." And the mice came, swarms of them, more than the eye could see or tongue could tell. And they quickly separated the poppy seed from the peas in two little heaps. And when the time was up, the work was done. "Have you done the work I asked?" "Yes, Grandma, you see, it is done." "Ha!" Well, Baba Yaga was even more angry. But what could she say? Vasilisa knew she must soon run from Baba Yaga's anger. But for now, we'll leave her there in Baba Yaga's hut. Reflections. What does that impossible task mean to you? The sorting of the seeds, the tiny seeds, done or die. And who are the helpers? What do they mean to you? The doll, the birds, the mice, these creatures. And finally, have you been in this situation? Have you needed to accomplish an impossible, tedious, demanding task by deadline? my personal story, cannery, 1960. Back in 1960 and well before, the Santa Clara Valley, now Silicon Valley, was home to beautiful fruit orchards. In fact, it was the largest apricot producer in the world. Looking for a summer job, I went to the County Office of Employment in San Jose, and I found a posting for a seasonal job working in an apricot canning shed in the middle of an orchard that was within walking distance of my parents' new tract home. So excited that I could find a job at a good hourly wage so close to home that I immediately applied. I was hired just before the first day of work, and I was prepared for an exacting ordeal. I walked through the orchard to the canning shed, reported for work, and took my place on the catwalk next to the conveyor belt that went around the workhouse, waiting for it to start. Starting up, the beefy old guy on the high platform took the first crate of apricots and dumped it down on the conveyor belt, and it went through an array of sprayers of water. And the whole mess came toward me, the first station on the belt. And I used my left hand to go through and take out the branches, twigs, and leaves and debris and put those in the bucket on my left side. And then with my right hand, holding a paring knife, I cut off any little brown spots or bruises and any rotten cots and dumped those on the bucket into the bucket on my right side. Now, the whole day, a blur of cots went by with a break in the morning. There were 15 of us working all the way around the room. I did notice, though, there was a tall man with a thin pencil mustache, well-pressed khakis, kind of slinking around behind us on the catwalk. The next day when I came to work, there were only 7 of us. At the morning break, the other workers told me that they thinned out anyone who wasn't fast or good enough. And that's the way it was. Well, being the only Anglo on the line, I felt proud that I was able to work good enough against such seasoned and experienced workers. So I proudly retied my plastic bib apron and got ready to earn the much needed funds for my sophomore year in college. Now, on the 4th day, a new woman came, a Portuguese woman, and worked right next to me. Just before the belt started up, she made the sign of the cross. And she told me in Portuguese that her work was a prayer. Now, over the weeks, my Portuguese and Spanish improved. And one day, while we were all out eating our lunch under the corrugated overhang of the shed, sitting on discarded crates, the Portuguese woman came up to me. She put her hand on my shoulder and looked directly into my eyes. I knew it was important. And she said in Portuguese, "Quando você se senta, Deus se senta com você." When you sit down, God sits down with you. It was a blessing. I was so surprised, honored, to think she saw God in me. When the last crate came from the orchard outside the door, dumped on the line, the job was over, and we all left. Most of them to go to the next fruit or vegetable to be canned in the season. But for me, that job was over. I earned almost enough for my college year, but in the weeks to come, I would earn it all. Reflections. How does my summer job compare to Vasilisa's sorting of the seeds in Baba Yaga's hut? What does it represent? Why is it part of the feminine heroic? Have you ever experienced a job that required diligence, detail, persistence, and efficiency? And what did you learn? Be sure to write your story into the forest, into the orchard, in your heroine's journal. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. There are more episodes coming soon.